Hello everyone, welcome back to another session of Dark Souls PvP and another weapon showcase. This time I am using the Demon's Great Hammer, and really guys, it's just another heavy weapon, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, the Demon's Great Hammer is my second favorite of the Demon Great weapons, falling just short of the Demon's Great Axe and just above the Demon's Great Machete. And I'll get into the reasons for that a little later on when I go over the pros and cons of the weapon, but it's really coming down to the moveset for me. But anyway, I'll get into that later on. So getting started, the Demon's Great Hammer has a weight of 22 units, which puts it pretty much right at the average weight for the Great Hammer class weapons. It has a B scaling in strength that never increases, so from the moment you get it, without upgrading it at all, it has a B scaling all the way up through plus 15. And in my opinion, that's why it's outdamaged so much by the Demon's Great Axe, because that actually goes from, I think it's got an A scaling right off the bat, all the way up to an S scaling. So yeah, that's just my opinion on that. Other things about the weapon would include the 46 strength requirement, which is the same as the Demon's Great Axe. And yeah, now getting started with the pros and cons. The pros, I would have to say, would include the typical Great Hammer pros, being the fact that it can stun you very easily. It has a really great guard breaking ability and stamina break ability, or not stamina, poise break ability, that's what I'm trying to say. And it also has the ability to pancake you relatively easily. With its R2 attacks, it can do quite a bit of damage and just completely flatten you. So other pros, I would have to say, would include another typical Great Hammer pro, actually I almost forgot to mention, the rolling two-handed attack. It cannot be parried. It can be partial parried, and then the person can walk around behind you for a backstab, which it's something I've been doing with jumping attacks for a while now, but it can actually be done by, or with a rolling attack on a Great Hammer class weapon. And there's a video on that. It's something about weaponized partial parries. Don't remember who the uploader was, but definitely go check that out if you're interested. I will try and find the video and probably put a link in the description. So yeah. Other pros, I would have to say, include it's got a pretty good reach to it. It's, I believe, the longest reaching of the Demon Great weapons, so that's definitely a good pro, especially for how much it hits. I would say that definitely makes up for the fact that it's less damaging than the Demon's Great Axe. So, yeah. Now, the cons of the weapon. This is where it really, in my opinion, falls short of the Demon's Great Axe. The moveset. The moveset to me is boring. Now, I do like the moveset because if you're R1 spamming with it, you can mix in an R2 attack and oh, excuse me. You can mix in an R2 attack and it will throw off their parry timing, and then you'll end up pancaking them with that R2. But the one-handed and two-handed movesets are identical except for the rolling attacks, and really it's not versatile enough for me, and it gets boring after a while, which is really why I prefer the Demon's Great Axe, because you've got the two-handed R2 that is the, like, it's the long wait and then the smackdown-like thing that you do with it, and you've got the one-handed R2 where you've got the sideways swing followed by the uppercut. So really it's just more fun to use the Demon's Great Axe in my opinion. So that's one reason why I'm considering the moveset to be a con in this case, because it's just boring in comparison to another weapon that has the same weight, same requirement, and it's another Demon Great weapon. So yeah, that's just my opinion on that. Now, other cons really would include the typical great hammer cons, being the slow swing speed. You can actually, as you're starting your swing, be kicked and forced out of the swing. So that can be really, really annoying if someone is good at doing it. Fortunately, not a lot of people are, and not a lot of people are actually brave enough or stupid enough to do it, or try to do it at least, because it can end very badly for them if they mess up. Other cons would be the slow recovery time. You can actually go for an attack and the person can just walk right around behind you for a backstab without a problem. So that's a pretty big con in my opinion. It's gotten me into quite a bit of trouble. And yeah. Now, where this weapon really shines in my opinion is if you play unlocked with it, because if someone does try and get around for a backstab, you can actually just rotate around and hit them with an R1 and they'll take a pretty good amount of damage. Now, other cons I would have to say would include how easily parry, or how easy it is to parry, how easily parried this weapon can be. That's what I'm trying to say. It's really a very telegraphed moveset. There's not much difference in the moveset between the one-handed and two-handed attacks. Or, not one-handed and two-handed, but between the R1 and the R2 attacks, rather. There's not that much of a difference, so it's relatively easy to parry it. And, again, that can cause some issues. Overall, though, I'd have to say it's really a good weapon, and a lot of people don't know how to fight against it. And I guess the reason for that is because the majority of people who do use these demon great weapons always seem to end up putting on a buff to them and just going straight in for a backstab with the Hornet Ring on, trying to one-shot you. So people really are somewhat unfamiliar with how to actually fight against them in a real fight. So that really, in my opinion, gives them a pretty good advantage, and it can throw people off pretty good. Now, I will say this, people do try and backstab you a lot when you're using this weapon, and other people will get extremely cautious when you're using this weapon. I have had many people who I fought against run away from me for well over 90% of the fight. After I hit them one or two times, they just spend the rest of the fight running away. So it can get really boring really fast because people just are scared of the weapon. I guess that's just what it comes down to. Which, I guess that could be considered a pro. It's a massive weapon, it hits hard, people are scared of it, so it's good if you're aggressive, and I think I'd have a better time fighting against people who do that if I was fast rolling, but because I'm fat rolling, it can be a pretty drawn out process, which is why I have the black firebombs. Actually, it can be a way to get in a quick 100 damage or so, and it's pretty helpful for finishing people off. But yeah, overall, I'd have to say that the Demon's Great Hammer is a very good weapon. It's definitely a heavy hitter, and it's actually capable of hitting over 1,000 damage if you catch someone when they're in an instability frame, which you will see in the very last fight of the video. So, as I was saying, overall, it's a very good weapon, it's fun to use, it's got a good tracking ability, good damage output, and an okay-ish moveset, but in my opinion, the moveset of the Demon's Great Axe is better. So that's why this weapon is my second favorite, and not higher on the list. So, overall, good weapon, as I was saying before. I highly recommend that if you have the strength to wield it, you pick it up and give it a shot. To quickly recap everything, pros would be the typical Great Hammer pros. Cons would be the typical Great Hammer cons. And right there, 1,001 damage. Yeah. Really though, this weapon doesn't have anything that special going for it, so that's why I'm just saying it's got those typical pros and cons. It doesn't really have anything special going for it. It's got just massive damage. That's all it's really got, in my opinion. But it's still fun to use, so I recommend picking it up at some point. So yeah, this is the last fight. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you found it helpful in one way or another. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.